Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the Celestial Hypogean priority guide. So for today's video, instead of the more detailed breakdown of each unit, I'll just briefly explain the units based off some of the current performance as well as certain past performance from the units itself. So this is because we are still in the very early game of the seasonal progression and a lot of things are still not finalized or settled in dust yet. So you can actually call this as an early game prioritization for the Celestial Hypogean characters because we just don't have that much data. We don't have all our factional talents built and we also don't have the charms yet. So this is just based off whatever we have right now, and without further ado, let's jump into the collection side and break down the heroes. So starting off with the first unit, okay, Scarlita right here. This unit, despite having a Supreme Plus skill buff, is still not that strong in terms of versatility. I think on the PvP side, her shielding definitely got better, and she is definitely viable in your Celestial Hypogean factional teams. But I feel that she's still a little bit slow, and you have a lot of other more versatile and powerful Celestial Hypogean characters that you can use. So for Scarlita's case, you see some niche users for her for the AFK stages to bring down certain revive units like Talene, Igor, Talene for example, but mostly PvP right now. So that's for Scarlita. And then next we have Dionel. This is definitely a PvP centric character. This is a whale character that needs quite a bit of stats to hyper carry you. But right now, with regards to the current meta, I think Dionel's team structure is very fixed because you need like 3 other allies or 3 other buff sources that can actually give him temporary buffs. So this makes him slightly inflexible in terms of team build. And right now, I think because of his better partners being better with some of the more meta units, I think Dionel's PvP prowess has definitely fallen. So this unit is PvP centric, but he's not the best in terms of the hyper carry slot because there are better options in the Celestial Hypogean faction. So next one, let's move on to Dunlingr. So Dunlingr is a very powerful anti-ultimate tank, and it's still really powerful as a supportive tank in the PvP side. So this unit is used a lot by some of the higher end players. So if you're a heavy spender that values PvP, right now Dunlingr is one of the stronger like tanks around in terms of just controlling the meta. So right here, my friend runs a Dunlingr with Scarlita, with Igor, called the Immortal Athalia team right here. So Athalia being the core of the team is very powerful as a carry, and then Dun is there as a tank to shut down the ultimate to prevent teams like your Iron Armors combo or your Tasi combo from having too much impact, and then you just snap them down from there. So Dun is pretty powerful on the PvP side, but on the PvE side, Dun is never really much used. So I don't recommend Dun for the low budget players or the low resource players, cause like this is more PvP centric character that will help you improve your PvP runs, but other than that, not much he can do outside of that. So that's for Dun. And then next one, we have the next unit, Talene. I think right now in terms of the most important units, Talene should be ranked, I would say, 3rd or 4th in terms of where she can be used. So Talene is insanely powerful for PvP because some of her direct counters like Scarlita is not seeing that much use, and in terms of the PvE side, Talene's damage output is still okay. Like you can still see her being used for certain damage related contents, and she has always been a poster child for the game. Although this season I feel that Talene's a lot weaker. So if you were to look at the different Celestial Hypogeans right here, I think I'll put Talene as 5th for general versatility. Yeah, like I think PvP wise she's strong, but versatility wise slightly weaker because in the Dream Realm side, I think Shamira basically took over as the strongest magical damage dealer. So Talene as a really powerful magical damage dealer is not the best in that slot anymore, and like if you have Shamira, then you probably don't need Talene for that role itself. So Talene should be like invested. If you have your topmost priority units built up, then you build this generally versatile, generally good unit across different game modes and pretty amazing in the PvP side unit. So that's for Talene's evaluation. So that's that. Next, let's move on to Twins. This is hands down one of the top units that you should get at least 1 copy. So this question between Twins as well as Phraesto, who should you max out first, right? So Phraesto is hands down the best tank in the game right now in terms of tanking, in terms of versatility, in terms of damage, in terms of usage, in terms of like having multiple bodies, for Crystal Road or different bosses that need 2 bodies, Phraesto is hands down the best tank in the game right now. So between Phraesto and Twins, Twins is the best support in the game without a doubt, because you see Twins used every day in the Dream Realm side and you use Twins for your AFK stage pushing side. So between these two, which one should you prioritize upgrading? Right, so that is something that I think I get asked a lot, and I always say Phraesto. So let me explain that once again for those of you guys who are new to the channel. Phraesto is a tank that requires stats to tank up and requires stats to do damage. So for Twins case, yes, Twins does give you a very powerful ability on the S plus side, but this unit can work with just the first 3 skill, right? Especially as long as this unit can survive to cast the ultimate for your haste buff, for your unaffected, and then you get this Stellar Bond with your cosmic protection. It is good enough. Like, this unit is obviously maximized at Supreme Plus. So if you ask me which unit to prioritize pushing up the tier, I think Phraesto minimally for EX 15, which is Supreme tier. Okay, Supreme Plus tier, if you have the resources, push to it. But if not, I think Supreme is good enough. And then for Twins, right, Twins with EX weapon is really insanely good. If you can push to Supreme Plus for the additional stat boost to min-max your damage, go ahead. Right, so these two, they are hands down the best unit. I would say, if you ask me in terms of versatility, I think Twins is top 1, Phraesto is top 2, but I tend to just group them together because one is the best tank, one is the best support, at least in the current phase of the game. So that's for Elijah and Lila, and then also for Phraesto. So this unit needs no introduction. This unit is used in your AFK stage push as a very, very powerful frontliner to soak up a lot of damage with your Mauler teams. Sometimes you use it for the Celestial Hypogean factional team in general. So very powerful PvE wise. And Phraesto, even though he's not like the strongest in the early game Dream Realm, we all know, if you've been playing the game for a few seasons, Phraesto is always seeing some use for the endless Dream Realm boss. So not sure when he will be power crept, maybe really soon, but if you were to base it off past experiences as well as what Phraesto can do, he's definitely still one of the top tier Celestial Hypogean that you should be focusing on. So that's for Phraesto's case. And then next we talk about Athalia first. Okay, so Athalia is hands down one of the strongest, if not the strongest PvP carry right now, being able to snap down the opponent really fast, being able to stick around even if she's dead. So her burst damage potential is there, and if you want to dominate in PvP, she should be the hyper carry that you go for. So Athalia has a higher weightage than Dionel as a hyper carry. So if you are PvP centric, Athalia first, then Dionel. So that's the evaluation for Athalia. Next, let's talk about Berial. So Berial has always been this pretty powerful unit for the PvP side. Like, I've always thought of Berial being pretty decent, but yeah, Berial's role is very constricted to PvP right now, because outside of PvP, you don't actually see too much use for Berial. So generally, low resource or free-to-play players don't go for Berial, right? Just save up for the more versatile, powerful units all around. So that's for Berial's evaluation, PvP centric. If you want to go for like a highest priority PvP character, is Athalia. Without a doubt, Cryo will be next, and then Berial probably. So that's for the Berial side. Next one, we have Berial. So Berial, like I mentioned earlier, PvP, so not too much to talk about. You use him in all the assassin comms. You use him to be disruptive depending on the matchups, but very, very niche to the PvP side for the whales. So next one, we have Reiner. This unit, I think in the early game, is still one of the stronger, I'll say, like PvE characters in terms of the bossing side, and I do think that if you want to invest in him, it is possible. Like, I'll put Reiner as the 4th guy. So let me explain why 4th, because I think Harak is better in the 3rd slot, because Harak is more unique in terms of what he wants to do, at least as of right now. Reiner in this slot is used as a debuffer as well as sort of like a buffer healer for the team, and you need to get him to Mythic Plus to get this damage amplification on the boss. So once he have Mythic Plus, that's more than sufficient for Reiner, and then you upgrade to EX10 for that 25% damage reduction, so that the carry that gets swapped in has additional protection, right? But Reiner's role has quite a few substitutes. Like in the support role, obviously you can use Twins, right? Twins is a very good unit. You have Sonya, you have Mikola, you have Coco for damage reduction in the early game, you have Smokey. So there's a lot of different substitutes that can give you close to Reiner's effect right now. So like his priority is not as high because like for Twins case, you don't have a substitute, right? They are the best support. And then for tanks case, Phraesto is the best tank right now. You can obviously use Callan, you can obviously use Torrent, but the best unit in that slot are those 2 units. So for Reiner's case, there's a lot of substitutes, and that's why I think he's like 4th in terms of versatility priority for me, at least for this season so far. Okay, next one, let's talk about Harak. Okay, so Phraesto, we talked about it. You can use Phraesto across different game modes, PvP, PvE, and generally really good damage scaling into the late game. And then for Harak's case, Harak right now in the early game typically don't see too much of a use, but Harak has always been a very late game dominant force, and the reason why I'm grading Harak as the 3rd highest priority to get to the higher tiers is because Harak's role as some of the strongest physical damage dealer is still unthreatened. So right now, I think you can consider Sinbad as a pretty decent physical attacker, but in a lot of cases, Sinbad is quite dependent on the team, and I think as you move towards the late game, where Harak with a mix of physical damage as well as true damage will scale a lot better as a physical carry. And Harak additionally in the PvE side has this ability called the Flash Freeze, which is able to just devour enemies if their HP is low enough. And if you have this ability to maintain your HP and just let Harak steamroll to eat up all the units. So in the previous season, there was actually a team where you just manualed Harak's ultimate and then rely on this ability to eat up all the enemies in the late game. So I believe this part of Harak's skill will still be relevant for the late game end game AFK stage push. So you can slowly build him up and you'll start seeing him perform in the later part of the game. So in the past few seasons, Harak has always been pretty good for the Endless Dream Realm boss as well. So this is where this unit will scale more towards the late game. You might not see that much effect for him right now. For the PvP side, you can definitely use Harak, provided you have a way to let him survive and then start carrying. This unit can be a menace in the PvP side as well. So it's a little bit more challenging, but Harak can work if you're able to protect him. So that's for Harak's evaluation and why I rate him as the 3rd most important unit before Reiner, after Twins and Phraesto. So that's for Harak's evaluation. Next one, we have Cryonaia. Cryonaia does see some very niche usage for the highest level for bossing in the past season, but I think it's super duper niche because her role is to buy additional time for you to jam in more damage with her and then have Harak eat her up so that when she uses her ultimate, she doesn't actually freeze the time of your other units. Because for her, you need EX15, very expensive. You need EX15 for the additional 30 seconds, and then you need a Harak to eat her up because when she casts the ultimate, only she will be able to move within the ultimate itself. So this will greatly reduce the damage output and utility for the other units, and this is where Cryonaia is more PvP centric. In PvP, she gets off her ultimate, she kills people, she recycles through her ultimate, and then she wins the battle from there. So the only unit that technically counters Cryonaia is Athalia, because like Athalia just snaps her down before she casts her ultimate, right? Even if Cryonaia kills Athalia, Athalia's lens will remain on the battlefield, and then that lens still has the potential to kill Cryonaia. So that's the only like direct counter relation in PvP. But for Cryonaia's case, another unit that if she gets off the ultimate is super duper impactful. So Cryonaia and Athalia, they're just really good units that made our Dionel a lot weaker. So that's why, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Dionel got phased out quite bad because of these hyper carries. So next one, we have Kulu. So for Kulu's case, I'll be doing a more detailed breakdown for Kulu in terms of a usage. But right now, Kulu is more PvP centric. For the PvE side, you can make do with her at 1 copy for certain really hard to deal with stages because of her walling ability to block out the units itself. For the PvP side, there are a few range combos which I'll be talking about in the next few days to combo with Kulu, right? You can use her as a tanker because you just use the wall as a way to prevent the opponent from advancing. You can use her as a physical attacker in physical attack teams with the likes of Hodgkin, for example. You can also use her as a hybrid damage dealer in your magical teams, right? Because she blocks out the enemy, and then you have a whole bunch of like magical damage dealer like Tarsi as well as Shamira that are ranged and can just bypass the demolition zone to damage the enemy and then bring them down from there. So I think Kulu is PvP centric, can be used for PvE contents, but I think if you're using her for the AFK stage side, one copy is more than sufficient. So that's it for the Celestial Hypogean analysis. For those of you guys who are new to the game, right, you don't know what to invest in, Phraesto and Twins, they will be your best choice because they're the best support as well as the best tank. Athalia currently, I'll say, is probably the best PvP character as a standalone unit. If you build a team around her, usually she can actually win you fights, even against some Paragon deficits. Cryonaia's not bad, but I think in terms of versatility and power level, I think Harak's a little bit better. So Harak is pretty powerful in the late game Dream Realm side, and also currently one of the stronger physical damage dealers around. And then last but not least, we have Reiner, which is what I would say fourth in priority for me, because the debuff of Reiner has always seen use for the longest time possible ever since this unit got introduced. So there's a lot of longevity in this unit, and it's very cheap to get him to M+, much cheaper than a lot of other units earlier, which like needs like S or S+ to be efficient or strong. So like Reiner is less stats reliant, and Mythic Plus, get the EX weapon up, more than good enough. So that's it for today's Celestial Hypogean priority based off past experiences as well as the early gameplay progression. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.